Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. And today I'm going to talk about an internal project that I hope that inspires you. It's called the Internal Data Marketplace. And I'm going to explain a little bit what I mean by that. And we're going to go through a nice conversation. So about me, I work for Booking.com. We're famous. I hope you know us. By the way, anyone doesn't know Booking.com around? No? No? OK, anyone haven't used our services before? No? OK. I brought some vouchers for those. But anyway, so I work for Booking.com. And prior to that, I used to work for a bank in the Netherlands. So I came from the Netherlands. Thanks also for having me here in this big stage. And prior to that, a couple of brands in the Nordics, and then before that in the Middle East. And we're quite big. So we are more than 100 million active monthly users only in our app. And of course, we have a big presence in our portal, the website as well. We are in 50+ languages. We are almost operating globally, internationally. And that gives a huge footprint of data that we need to deal with, literally hundreds of terabytes a day of user logs and research, etc. And with that, I would like to kick off my real presentation with this quote from McKinsey. And I hope that you can relate to it. And it talks about the average amount of time wasted by employees to find the right data. So who thinks that this quote is relatively true? Like you spend around 20-ish more even percent to find the right data. If that resides with you, then let's talk about how we're trying to improve that and how we try to decrease the time and make data more discoverable. So I wanted to show you the current reality of how we do data now. And if we can imagine a company that has a mature company that has some data roles in it, being data owners, steward, custodians, whatever you call them in your organization. On the other hand, you have your organizational standards and policies and best practices, hopefully. Then on the top, you have some processes that you have to adhere to in order to, for example, make a data contract or a data share or raise a data quality or register a new source. And then on the bottom line, the technologies that we use day and night, right? And I tried to bring like a couple of logos just to make it more kind of relatable to you. And then I'm going to try with you to walk through a simple use case where an analyst wants to develop a sales performance dashboard. And let's see together how this works. So first, this analyst needs to search for the right data. So we use a tool like Colibra in order to find the right data. Then in order to check your data quality, you may go to a specialized data quality tool like Soda. And after that, if you want to check the access policy, then you need to read some kind of a document or go to a wiki. And right after that, if you want to start requesting the access process, there are like specialized tools like Immuta or Big ID in this kind of case. And after that, you should have a data contract, that kind of an agreement between the consumer and the producer. And then after that, you start finally the modeling process of your dashboard, how you want to merge the data, how it's going to be connected, the semantic layer, etc. And then after that, if there are like best practices that you have to follow, then you have also to go through those and more and more. And then if there's a data gap or a data quality issue, you should actually register it. And then after that, if you want to build finally a transformation, then you start at number 9. And after that, if you want to really, because since you're building a dashboard, you may need to follow certain visual standards. And eventually, you start building the dashboard. And I feel this is quite a lot, right? This is quite a steps. This is a lot of jumping between tools, a lot of documents that you need to read. And that is something that's kind of challenging. And I can talk more and more about different scenarios, but I'm not going to go in details. If you want to raise a data quality check, it's actually a long process as well. Same if you want to register a new data or make a new data product. And I feel this is a dilemma, because more and more, if you also follow the modern data architectures and data mesh and whatnot, it pushes more load to the business users. So you need to have your data owned in your domain. And with that, how can we simplify that data problem to non-data oriented people? And what this creates, in my opinion, is this kind of, spaghetti between documents, tools, procedures, or reaching out to people, etc., etc. And I don't think this is sustainable. And with that, that creates kind of frustration for the most important pillar of the organization, which is us, which is you and me, because we are the most important pillar of all of that. And then in a big organization or a small UK, you can get lost on all of this. And the ugly truth is, like, in one hand, I believe that we should do the right thing by default. We want to do things in a simple way, and also we need to follow the process. But on the other hand, unfortunately, with all these kind of complications, the absence of self-services, lack of communication and collaboration, this stuff becomes quite difficult. And then that was the main reason for thinking differently a little bit, and then trying to figure out, is there really a way out, right? And then, what if? And by the way, anyone knows this logo about what if? No, Marvel, you know it? Okay. So this is like a Marvel series that tries to challenge reality a little bit. So I use this just to make it a little bit relatable to that. So what if there is a digital orchestrator in the middle of all these stuff? And moreover, if it is like a UI-based, something that's simple yet powerful, that those people, whether technical or non-technical, can really use it. And then that shields all these kind of complexities under the hood. So this is really the part where I want to talk about the data marketplace, and what I call by the internal data marketplace is that one-stop shop of all your data needs through one single user experience, regardless of what's happening in the background. And the more we talk about it, you will get more to understand the architecture behind it and how this coexists and works with all the technologies that we are already using. So this is not like to replace any of them, but we thought of building this thin layer between the consumers and the data complexities, processes, and procedures, and we call that the marketplace. But if we think from that kind of foundational, what kind of features such a marketplace should have? So let's think out loud. I think first, it has to be one-stop shop. So it has to be that singularity aspect of it. So if you want to do any data-related stuff, you go to data.booking.com or you go to data.ing.com, whatever the brand, right? Because that you need to mentally relate the data to something that anyone in the organization can go to. So it should be one-stop shop. You should be able to search and find for your data simply and in an easier way. And actually, something that not many companies talks about, which is more on registering the need of the data. We so often open a catalog and search for columns and tables, but why? So that kind of use case or the business need, we believe that should be captured, because later this can be searchable and findable, and then that can avoid you a lot of redo if someone already built the use case, like is it visible in a sort of a catalog or not. And then, of course, all the request access, more empowerment to get access to the data, etc. And of course, it should be also easy to communicate and collaborate if you do have questions, some sort of a forum, maybe ratings, etc. And then it will be even more powerful if you can try before buy, so some previewing of what you're looking at, and then how you can kind of quickly wrangle maybe some of this data. So we are looking for also these kind of options. And also, this is a great tool also for compliance, because as I'm going to show the architecture, you will get to see the mine of information that we have under this data marketplace architecture. And the last thing and the most important thing is the orchestration of your data governance, because the last thing business and and even technical people need is to being dictated, do this and do that. But if you think differently and you have like a simple interface that for them is like next, 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 but for you as a data management professional, you are guiding them through whatever you want to design locally for your organization, that I think will be a great thing to do. So without like further ado, I already brought with me kind of also samples, so it's not just like a fairy tale. So this is something that's there, and I'm going to go a little bit features. I picked up like a few features to show you how this may kind of change the way you look into data and how this can be super powerful for your organization. So let's say if you go to the home page or home screen, you will see two main features, like something that we call the data to value life cycle. So the industry has been obsessed by collecting all type of data over the last years, but then why, right? So if it doesn't generate value, then you actually did nothing. So value and data should be like acquainted together, and if you got all the data in the world without value, you did nothing. So we want to surface this out and make it important. And on that page, you get to see all kind of KPIs about the data sources, et cetera, et cetera. And on the other side, you see how many use cases do we have, what kind of popularity of it is in being production, a little bit of a life cycle, et cetera. So you put some KPIs over there. And then the prompt part, not sure, I have a laser. But yeah, so the prompt part is we're trying to leverage AI for sure, but then our approach is to bring large language models to understand questions, that sentiment, etc., but combine it with a small language model that's trained on our own jargon, in our own terminologies, in what we call a traveler, for example, or a customer, etc. And that kind of happy marriage between these two could be super powerful, because you could get to say, like, I want to build a customer 360 use case for a regulatory purpose. Is there something exist? And can you suggest some kind of data sources? So soon enough, we should be able to reply, and we already have some versioning and building towards that, but that's like the premise of it. And let's say you went there, and then you went to this customer 360 kind of data product page. Then you land on something like this, which has like, yeah, I would say simple, yet powerful UI, and we consider this as a celebration page, like something that non-technical people can understand as well. So here, easily and simply, what's the data product name, the description, from which domain, who is responsible for it, and which team, et cetera, but also some important KPIs that's important at that stage of drilling down. So how many data assets this product is consisting from, how it has been used in how many data sets, how many use cases are using this product. Also, you can get trending up and trending down to see the popularity of such a data product. And then if there are any gaps or data qualities, it's worth being visible, because at the end, you need the end user to really understand what they are stepping into it, rather than a lucky guess of, oh yeah, this table or column looks great, I'm going to use it. So really, like a customer, or let's say a 360 view of the data product, and then some kind of small business lineage. There's nothing here technical yet, but then the more we go, the more it gets more kind of technical. And then let's say you click on the data sets, you see that this product is decomposed of 5 data sets. Since it's customer 360, we need some transactional data, we use some behavioral data, we have some customer profile data from our CRM, and the combination of them is making that data product. Let's say you want to drill even deeper, and you want to click on one of these data sets to see, yeah, what's in it. Then the more you drill down, the more it gets more kind of detailed with you. And here what you see is dataset detail view. The who aspect drills down with you, because the data product can be owned by a domain, but then the underlying data set can be owned by a different one. You should be able, in an easy and simple way, to understand that. Then the KPIs will be a little bit more towards data quality. Now we are talking about data contracts. So is this data set, okay, fine, it's being used by this data product, but where else is being used? And then you'll start seeing some general stuff about it, and some data element tabs if you want to go deeper, which we're going to do in the next slide. And then if you want to do some sampling, you can get to show some preview of this data set, and then some business glossaries as well. The more you go, if I click on the data elements, now you start getting closer to what usually a data catalog starts with, which is more columns and tables, etc. But even, we didn't want to do that now. So you'll see something called like a location or an address. And that is like, from a business point of view, that's the customer address. But from a technical point of view, I'm not sure if it's visible, but then you start to see like, okay, the address is a combination between postal code and house number, and these two should be abstracted to the business user. He or she shouldn't care about that. For them, I want an address. How this address is being brought to me, that is kind of an IT and data problem. So how can we still make business able to use the data without giving them the first thing, post underscore code or A underscore B in some kind of a table or a schema? So we build that kind of linkage, we call it, between the physical world and then the business world, and that's all mapped automatically and then shown to the end user. And let's say if they wanna, even they will see like most some important KPIs here, from the life cycle of it to if it is a key data element or critical data element, if you have some tiering or severity for your data, like this is like SOX compliance, then it has to be dealt in a more care. All these kind of pillars you can also add to your marketplace, and then after that, it will be more actionable when the user is trying to use the data. So you can easily say, if someone is trying to use a PII information or key critical data element, and he is from, let's say, the finance department, then privacy wizard that's attached to that need to be approving this first or pre-approving before it goes to the data owner. However, if it is none of that, then you can go automatically to the data owner. That kind of flexibility, you can really tailor it because this is customizable to your own internal needs. And that's what I meant in the beginning of tailoring your governance processes to what you need. And let's say if I'm more interested in this data quality, so it goes deeper and then shows you exactly what kind of data quality checks has been applied, how many false positives it ran against how many records, and so on and so forth. And one important thing here, we didn't run that data quality ourselves. And that is something I want to make clear, because this is a surfacing layer, and then the data or the metadata that we are showing here, it is coming from whatever technology you are using. Could be Informatica, could be Soda, could be even a local tool. That's a metadata game. But how to bring this metadata and blend it together, that is all what this marketplace is about. And I'm going to explain more in the architecture slide as well about that. But here you get to know like also a lot of data quality dimensions, et cetera, et cetera. And even at a certain stage, we are enabling the end user to create their own data quality check. So if I like this, for example, date of birth, and I'm doing a marketing campaign for 18 plus kind of user, then I can say, data owner, I am proposing to create this data quality check through the UI, and then immediately a notification goes to the owner, and then, oh yeah, the owner says, I never thought of that. Then approve, automatically this being translated into Informatica, Soda, whatever underlying technology, and then tomorrow, if the end user who requested that comes again, then refresh the page, and then they see that KPI signals, the data quality signals are coming back and then showing right away. That's like where we want to grow as well. So yeah, so this is literally, we're just talking about that top thin layer between the producer and a consumer. And all this has been enabled by the layer below, which we call the metadata lake. So a dedicated lake just for metadata. And the sources for this metadata lake are called metadata connector, simply like a connector that brings metadata out of whatever tech stack. And that's, for me, the most important thing to realize, that I'm not here advocating to replace data quality tool or access management tool or cataloging tool, but I feel like we need to bring those together in a simple way so that the data is more accessible and truly democratized. So, for example, you know, the cataloging part, you can get it from Azure or Calibra, right? The technical part. The business part, you can collect it from whatever business process that you have. The Jira tickets are important if you log your data quality or your data gaps in the Jira ticketing system. The Databricks is important if you want to go to the technical lineage, and so on and so forth. And this is just an example, and then it's an infinite number based on what you have in your organization. And of course, this works in a bigger, if you have architects in the room and they like this, so still the marketplace is on top of everything, and this is a modern data architecture where you can see like it's kind of a data meshy like something, still the platform is centralized, but the usage and the ownership is decentralized of it, and then on top of all the business metadata, the validation services, etc., the marketplace has a place to shine and then prove value. So next question, we already have such catalogs in the market, right? If you think a marketplace is a catalog, I will debate a little bit, and I hope that now it's kind of clear why I'm not comparing this internal marketplace to a catalog, because in the catalog you will not get this end-to-end functionality. However, there are like, you know, Purview, there's Calibra, there's Snowflake. I would say Purview and Snowflake are more tailored to their technology. So Purview is great if you want to scan Microsoft stuff. Not all of them, by the way, but at least, yeah, they are reliable, or they need to do that. Unity on Databricks does the same, but only for Databricks. But if you want the totality, that's where it's stuck. So Colibra has great foundation. It can do that. Still, the UI, in my opinion, need to get some elevated a little bit and more be addressed from a business user view, but also great tool to be used. And now, let's say, if we manage to build such an initiative, what kind of benefits we will get? So unified experience is a key one here, because you don't want to yet another tool, yet another process that the end user need to go through it. So can you really make this unified experience possible? That's what it's all about, to simplify it. Then data governance by design. I think I already stressed out that you can really tailor this the way you need. I can tell you also like an interesting use case from a previous company, because I built this twice. And then it was about business intelligence, since we're also sponsored by business intelligence, by MicroStrategy, but that was a different one. And then we actually knew nothing about our usage of business intelligence at this company. And then through the marketplace and the metadata lake, we were able to extract all the metadata from the tool and blend it with organizational information, blended with some logs from the access management tool, and we'll be able to say, or trying to reply to a question like, how much this dashboard is being utilized, who is from the finance team is accessing non-financial data, or the other way around, which data quality, high data quality data is being, or low data quality data is being used by one of our seniors in a mission critical dashboard. You cannot get these kind of different projections from one tool or one technology. You need to cross the boundaries a little bit, and that is what we managed to do with the metadata lake concept. Then self-service, so it should be self-service. It should be easy to be used. It should be available for everyone internally in your organization. And then at a certain stage, you should think of the crowdsourcing power. Like, how can you make not everyone as a reader of this, but as I said in the data quality, they are empowered to create checks that's missing by chance, or even the data owner didn't knew that his data or her data has this potential. So you need to empower the end user to do so. And of course, this is a great thing for regulation, for reporting on regulations, because the amount of metadata that you will have under your disposal is great. You can answer a question that takes usually months, like who accessed my data, for how long, by whom, for what purpose, and where's the end user, from which domain, etc., in one simple query, and that's so powerful. And of course, also for the executives in the organization, you get to know how your organization is moving, what's the progress, how many data products, how many accesses to the products, etc. So it can be also, you can build a dashboard on top of this metadata lake directly, and then do some interesting reporting to see how your organization is adapting all of this. So almost to the last slide, because I want to leave some room for questions. So the main takeaway that I want you to take with you is, if you want to build, if you like this, and you want to build, you should have also a little bit of a vision of where this product or this internal initiative need to grow. I would also say, like, okay, start small, so don't get scared by this, because this also took us a lot of years to develop, but you can simply start by the most important thing in your organization. If data quality is this one, then you can simply build a simple data quality page where people can navigate from it towards whatever the next drill down that they want to go for, and start early. And this is not because there's a internal or like external competition, but if at the moment where this is at the fingertip of your employees, then it's going to be a game changer for them, because we often struggle with what we call, or what's called as the dark data, like data that exists in the organization and no one knows who owns it, from where it came. And you will be shocked if you analyze this and see how many very important dashboards and decisions as being using this data that no one knows. I can tell you a funny story about that later if you want to know, but this is crucial for your organization. And I would say don't reinvent. There's a lot of other small communities that also growing up that kind of advocates for such a thing. And I would say, like, let's get in touch and try to achieve this and even improve it and suggest other stuff. And hopefully, one of the big companies, they also adapt this and make this easier for us to explore the data. That's it, I think, from my end. I also, for the longer version, I have a podcast on the same topic if someone is interested. And otherwise, more than happy to answer questions now or later on LinkedIn. So thanks for listening, and I hope you got something out of this. Thank you. Do we have any questions or no? Okay. I think we don't have, so I hope that it was super clear. Oh, there is? Okay. Okay, yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead.
So, can you hear me? Yeah, right. So I was just wondering how all of that you created and implemented at Booking, how did that impact the life of the traveler, Booking's main customer?
Great question. So this is meant for internal users, which is indirectly is going to affect our most important thing, which is our traveler, because the more easy to our internal users or analysts to get to accurate data, which they know exactly of which quality is it and who is responsible for it and all the governance dimensions, the better insights that will come. You can maybe flip it a little way around. Imagine that we are doing this analysis without a guidance. Like, okay, like I've seen it in other companies, you go to a catalog or a customer data, oh yeah, I see like 3-4 version, I'm gonna pick up whatever I feel based on a gut feeling. That's gonna, let's say, not truly affect your, or it's gonna truly affect your customer experience because it's on a wrong foundation. So it's kind of not directly, but definitely indirectly about making data discoverable, and not just discoverable, but also, understandable to the business users who are usually helping the travelers more than a data engineer who's firing queries here and there. So that is, I think, my reply. And the title, it's an internal tool. So I hope that helps. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Nope. Oh, one here.
Hi, thanks for that. I was just wondering, when you start using the data to maybe like do predictions or do modeling, and you produce new data, when does that fit into that model? Does it get in its own pipeline that starts from the start, and then you become the data provider, and therefore it all starts? Or does it become then part of the initial pipeline where starting from the provider, which you were not, and then maybe it's a step at the end, or?
Yeah, so the way this works is like, I haven't seen the entire product, right? But there are like flows for registering the need. That's like from a consumption side. And then in order to satisfy that, we have similar processes for registering the data. And from there, we guide the users of what kind of metadata we need. And it's kind of, some of them are mandatory, some of them are optional. But there's a huge registration process. And also, hopefully, in a self-service, we are like building it up as we speak. But it's really a big one. And then from there, we start clubbing like the 3 types of metadata. So they have to supply business metadata. They have to supply technical metadata, and then we collect through the platform the operational metadata, like how this pipeline is going to run from where, what time, etc. And then we extract those different metadata types in the metadata lake, and then from there we are free to choose how we're going to display that. But definitely starts from the start of the data initiation itself. Hope that answers, but if not, also feel free to, and we can also talk afterwards. Okay, I think. Yes, thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'm available afterwards as well. Thank you.